வரோம் ஒரே நிமிஷம்.
பையன் ஊத்தியாச்சு. வா, காலேஜ் ஃபங்க்ஷன் பாக்குறியா? இவ்வளவு பேர் போயிருக்காங்க தானே?
இருக்கிறதே 40 பேர் தான். அங்க இருக்கிறது 40 பேர் 50 பேர் தான்.
இவ்வளவு பேர் போயிருக்காங்க, நீ என்ன பண்ற வீட்டுல?
யாரு போயிருக்கா? அங்க இருக்கிறது பிஹெச்டி ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ். இவங்க எல்லாம் இப்போ ஊர்ல இருந்து போயிட்டு இருக்காங்க.
எல்லாம் போய் கலந்துவாங்க அத. நீங்களாம் என்ன புடுங்குறீங்களா? நீனும் போடாண்டா சுரத்து படம் சொல்லிய.
Shit.
Please switch off your mobile phones. Kindly avoid leaving this hall during the event. Good morning and welcome to Dr. V. Subrahmanyan Endowment Lecture, organized by the National Institute of Food Technology, Entrepreneurship and Management, Thanjavur. Please stand up for the Tamil Thai வாழ்த்து.
நீராறும் கடலுடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராறும் வதனமென திகழ்வரத கண்டனிதில் எக்கணமும் அதில் சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு இவை முதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை திறம்பியந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
Please be seated. NIFTEM-Thanjavur is an institute of national importance, functioning under the aegis of Ministry of Food Processing Industries, Government of India. Established as a research lab focusing on providing solutions for post-harvest management of paddy, over the past 50 years, the institute has been upgraded from Paddy Processing Research Center to Indian Institute of Crop Processing Technology to Indian Institute of Food Processing Technology. Given the importance of food processing and value addition, with the NIFTEM Act 2021, we are now an institute of national importance, providing services in all phases of food processing. Apart from our main campus at Thanjavur, Tamil Nadu, we have our license offices in Bathinda, Punjab and Guwahati, Assam. 30th of January is an auspicious day for NIFTEM-Thanjavur, commemorating the 42nd death anniversary. Our founder director, Dr. V. Subrahmanyan. NIFTEM-Thanjavur today organizes the 6th Founder Director Endowment Lecture, remembering his selfless services and exceptional leadership abilities. We have a short documentary about our founder director, sir.
Vision of the great leader in food technology. Dr. Subrahmanyan was born on 16th of September 1902 in Sirkari, Thanjavur district of then the Madras Presidency. In 1922, he graduated from St. Joseph's College, Trichy with first rank in chemistry. He joined the Department of Biochemistry at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore for Masters in Biochemistry. In 1927, he graduated with Doctor of Science from the University of London. After his return to India, he was appointed as a lecturer in the Department of Biochemistry, IISC. In 1929, he was appointed as the Professor and Head, Department of Biochemistry, IISC. In 1948, Dr. Subrahmanyan was appointed as the Planning Officer for the CSIR, CFTRI, and became the first Director of CFTRI. In 1969, he started a research and development laboratory in the modern rice mill complex of Thanjavur Cooperative Marketing Federation at Tiruvallur. The mandate of the laboratory was to seek solutions for preserving high moisture paddy. In 1972, it was upgraded as a national laboratory with the name Paddy Processing Research Center. It focused on research on post-harvest processing and preservation of paddy. Further, the institute was moved to Thanjavur and shaped into today's IIFPT through his great vision. Dr. Subrahmanyan was the recipient of many awards, mainly Research Medal of the Royal Agricultural Society, Padma Shri, Rafi Ahmad Kitwai Award, Babcock Hart Award of the Institute of Food Technologists, First Friesland Award, I few to name. Moreover, he was affiliated to several societies with designations including Founder President of AFSPI, Fellow of Royal Institute of Chemistry, President of Society of Biological Chemists, Fellow of National Institute of Sciences of India. His major scientific contributions were development of Amul baby food, development of new methods for producing parboiled rice, preservation of coconut copra. He had also authored over 600 research papers in international and national journals and hold 30 patents. Words of our visionary founder-director.
I have done what little I can to safeguard the interest of the center and those who have been working with us. My task is nearly over. Barring anything unforeseen, I may leave sometime during 1979.
I now invite Dr. N. Venkatachalapati to deliver the welcome address.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. Today is an important day in NIFTEM-Thanjavur. I am blessed and honored to give a welcome address today to the August gathering. Yesterday, January 30th, was the anniversary of our founder director, Dr. V. Subrahmanyan, India's father of food technology. Every year, during his anniversary, we remembered him by offering prayers and food to the needy people. From 2017, after Dr. C. Anandaramakrishnan became the director of this institute, he is inviting the great legends of science to inspire the young minds of India on this day with the Dr. V. Subrahmanyan Endowment lecture to remember Dr. V. Subrahmanyan's contribution to science and technology. This year is very special because of the legend of Indian science, Dr. Shekhar C. Mande sir, the Secretary DSIR, and DG CSIR is giving this year's endowment lecture. Like all of you, I am also eagerly waiting to listen to his speech. On behalf of NIFTEM-Thanjavur family, I extend a warm welcome to Dr. Mande sir. For the last 5 years, our director Dr. C. Anandaramakrishnan had no stone unturned for fulfilling Dr. V. Subrahmanyan's vision to make this institute world class. He is the inspiration for all these institutes, faculties, staff, and students by his leadership. I welcome you, sir, for this milestone event of this institute. Dr. K. Singar Vadivel, the former director of NIFTEM-Thanjavur, is present today with us. He was instrumental in the development of this institute during his tenure. He was appointed as a scientist by Dr. V. Subrahmanyan in the erstwhile PPRC. I welcome you, sir. It is learned that many directors of CSIR, ICAR, DST, DBT, and other government and private institutes are attending this event from their offices today. Also, scientists from these organizations are in this virtual program. I extend a warm welcome to all of you. I wish to welcome all the distinguished guests watching this virtual program from their homes. I welcome all the faculty, staff, and students of NIFTEM for this wonderful program. I hope today's speech of our chief guest will ignite your minds to excel further and cherish this day in your life. I hope that Dr. V.S. sir's blessings will be with us to move forward. Once again, I welcome you all to this wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We are all part of this great success, and the Institute has expanded its services many-fold and performed exceptionally well in forefront areas of research, academics, consultancy, incubation services, technology development, and transfers. To provide an introduction about the endowment lecture and Institute awards, I invite Dr. C. Anandaramakrishnan, Director, NIFTEM-Thanjavur. He is a fellow of the Royal Society of Chemistry, Royal Society of Biology, National Academy of Sciences, Association of Food Scientists and Technologists of India, and National Academy of Agricultural Sciences. He is also a recipient of DBT Tata Innovation Fellowship, Nasi Reliance Industries Platinum Jubilee Award, and ICAR Rafi Ahmed Kidwai Award. Sir, please.
Most respected, our Director General, Dr. Segar C. Mande sir, Dr. V. Prakash sir, former Director General of CSIR and former Director of CFTRA, Present Director, Dr. Sridevi Annapurna Singh, Dr. Sriram, Director CLRA, and all other directors of CSIR and ICR institutions, invitees, former Director of NIFTEM-Thanjavur, Dr. Singaravadi Velan sir, and all my colleagues, friends, students, and media personals. Warm good morning to everyone. First of all, I like to thank our Director General sir accepting our invitations, and because this is the important day for our institute, not only for the NIFTEM-Thanjavur and also CFTRA Mysore. And immediately, sir has accepted. Once again, I thank you so much, sir, from my heart to accept our invitation to being with us today morning, sir. Dr. V. Subrahmanyan is the visionary leader, scholar, and institute builder. Institutional building is not that easy. He built two wonderful institutions in the country to cater what is our country needed. When he was in the IIC Bangalore, Government of India asked him to set up a Central Food Technological Research Institute at Palace. He sent to Mysore to initiate the work as a planning officer. Let us become a director of CFTRA. What today our India is enjoying with the growth of food processing sector. Food processing sector is now 10% annual growth rate. And today is a $265 billion worth of the business is going to be a $535 billion another 5 years time. Each and every rupee what we are earning from foreign exchange or the business what is happening here, impression of CFTRA is there. What he has put up the initial seed there, taken by other directors, including our one Dr. V. Prakash sir and two from Sridevi ma'am. The design of the institute and the contribution to this nation is a great extent. When foreign exchange was spent to bring the weaning food to our country, that time we are imported more than 3,000 tons of the baby foods we imported. Government of India told CFTRA to develop the baby food along with the Amul. Sir has took the challenge along with the team of scientists in CFTRA. They brought it, converted buffalo milk into the powder form. That time, most of the leading till today that companies are telling it's not possible. India can't manufacture small equipment, how they can produce the baby food. But he demonstrated the world, the high content of the fat buffalo milk can be converted as the powder form. Still that spray dryer is existed in CFTRA. He has not asked for anything from money or anything to the government. He asked our army people to supply used lathe. Still existed in CFTRA workshop, still is running. That is the commitment shown in that time. The scientists, engineers, all together they brought that what we are enjoying today. Today, Amul is more than making the cooperative society. They are doing the business and the value-added product started from the what our visionary leader is made the Amul spray. This is one simple example. So many examples I can say here. What is the contribution made by CFTRA? One example is parboiling and the milling of rice. When is 1960, what is the wastage is brought from the, what is the yield is around 55. Still some of the mills and state countries are producing the only 55% of the head rice yields. But CFTRA brought the new technology, rubber road miller has brought, increases the efficiency. Production of per hectare is a very, very difficult to produce the rice, but saving the rice from the wastage is the huge. That's what he has done with the team of the scientists at CFTRA. One more contribution, people are not aware of that. That is during 1962, Tamil Nadu government headed by late Kamaraj, he wanted to introduce midday meal scheme into Tamil Nadu school children's. Especially he wanted to bring the school children to the schools. He approached CFTRA when Dr. V. Subrahmanyan was the director. The plan and the nutrition, the menu, everything is prepared by the CFTRA. The same midday meal was expanded throughout the country with the support of CFTRA. We can't avoid the contribution made by the CSA or CFTRA. Later, after his retirement, Sir has joined as the emeritus scientist at CSIR. Then he went to some assignment in foreign, again come back. He joined with the team headed by Sri C. Subrahmanyan, the Bharat Ratna of our country, who instrumental to make a green revolution in our country. Sir was working with the C. Subrahmanyan sir. That time only the huge problem is happened in our region, the wet paddy. Huge rain was there. We unable to convert is the dried paddy. So Sir moved because of he is from Sirgali of that region. He wanted to help the farmers in the Thanjavur region. He came here and he has seen that. He decided to set up the research laboratory. He has not waited for the government to fund that lab. He used all his savings earned from the day one he joined to IIC to the last assignment. All the money till his death, he paid the salary from his own earning. Not only that, today we have some 4 people, including former director of this institute, Singaravadi, and worked with him. And we never allow anybody to leave from this institute. 3 people till his death who are the worked with him, still they are working in this institute, sir. We wanted to see that when the difficult time they are with him, we wanted to take him, we wanted to motivate our young minds. That's what they are here. So he made that institute along with the Iyengar and Vasan sir and other scientists, and he created a wonderful organization of PPRC. Then he's moved to the Thanjavur. 2008 upgraded to IICPT and 2017 upgraded to IFPT. Now it's become an institute of national importance status. 2 jewels of the country is designed and projected that vision. Everything has been done by him. The seed, you can see that similarity between CFTRI and NIFTEM-Thanjavur. That is because of Dr. V. Subrahmanyan. The DNA, what is there in these 2 institutions. You can go to any institutions, you can talk to them. They will say, because of them, the institute is existed. But these 2 institutions, the scientists, they think because of these institutions, we are existed. That's what, even today, our attendance where we are punching that, we kept it next to Dr. V. Subrahmanyan photo. All the scientists enter to our institute, go and pray to him, then they will put that punching. That's what we wanted to start every day. We come here to serve this nation, nothing else in our mind. So that's what this institute started from that to now Institute of National Importance status. We got it. Both the House, Rajya Sabha as well as Lok Sabha approved, and last October it is upgraded and recognized by the Government of India as the Institute of National Importance status. And twice this institute is placed in the top 100 institution, engineering college in India by NIRF ranking. This year, Ministry of Education released ARIA ranking. NIFTEM-Thanjavur is placed is the Institute of National Importance along with the IITs, NITs as an excellent category. We got a Sagi Award, we got a Vishwakarma Award. The contribution what we made it to the farming community, to the entrepreneurs, small and micro, medium enterprises. We wanted to place our institute close to the other ministries' service. That's what we are working very closely with Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of External Affairs Ministry, all other ministries. Last Friday, sir, among all the ministries, our Prime Minister dream project of Mission Karma Yogi is the job as given to NIFTEM-Thanjavur. And we come up with a new model, how to train all the officials of the ministries, especially above joint secretaries to the additional secretaries. They should understand the basics of the food. whichever the ministry they goes, they have to understand the knowledge on the food as well as the scheme is running. We developed the module, 7 modules. Last Friday it has been released. So likewise, so many programs we are expanding. Not only that, we are extended our support to the implementation of one country, one product by the FAO. And NIFTEM-Thanjavur is main partnering to implement this program throughout the globe. Not only that, International Coconut Community, one of the community was started very early by India. We are the one main partner to expanding our support for coconut growing farmers. And today, we wanted to remember that whatever the success we are enjoying today, all is given by the visionary leader, Dr. V. Subrahmanyan. When he wrote that letter to his son-in-law, he has not asked other things, he asked the center to grow. Till last moment, he was telling about, I made it whatever possible to do this center, but the center has to become international institution. So we'll try to work hard to make his dreams to come true one day. We reached this position, maybe another 5 to 10 years time, definitely we'll reach what he dreamed for that. And today we have our Director General Sir for this occasion. We started this program of giving endowment lecture series 2017. First lecture as given by who is present here, the one of the eminent food technologists in the country, effortlessly served to the nation. Till date, he worked very hard. Every day he has attended 2 to 3 lectures, Dr. V. Prakash. After that, G.D. Yadav, sir, Vice Chancellor of ICT Mumbai, then R.T. Patil, Director of SIFT Ludhiana, and then Murali Krishna, sir, earlier President of DuPont. Last year, we got a chance to listen. One of the eminent scientists come from our nation is Dr. R.A. Masilka, sir. And this year, when we requested our Director General, sir, I sent a only message through the phone only. Immediately, sir, accepted today being with us. Thank you so much, sir. It is the great honor for this institute. You have come online to us, sir. It's a very simple person, changed the way of functioning of the CSIR. You can see that CSIR accessibility to even DG is very simple nowadays. And sir has traveled across the country. And one point of time, I could able to witness in Sikri, Karaikudi, sir was spending more than an hour to interact with the PhD students and young scientists. That's what you are cultivating young minds, sir. We want your service like this to our nation. Definitely that will yield bigger impact in our Indian science in the future, sir. When sir was the Director General of CSIR, our country faced one of the worst pandemic in the last 100 years. And sir, shift the action. Immediately he predicted testing is the must. He converted all the CSIR lab into the testing of this COVID-19. Think about CFTRI never worked in the virology. CLRI never worked in that. All such labs are converted as the continuous testing labs. And that yield, not only that, they trained the doctors and other testing people in the medical colleges, wherever it is there situated. And immediately PPE kit has been developed by NIL and other labs. And the SCRC has developed so many hospital structures and adjuvant. What we are enjoying with the indigenous vaccines, our vaccine, that adjuvant has developed by IICT Hyderabad. These are very few examples. Day and night, our Director General worked to make sure this pandemic should not spread too much in our country. Yes, we worked hard to make sure food supply chain never disturb in our country. Similar manner, CSIR contribution never forget. And the man behind, sir, never say all these things as like other CSIR. Today I mentioned about the contribution of the CSIR. We never go and say, this is what our contribution. Simply, quietly we work. The similar manner, what is the contribution made by this nation is, we should not forget. I wanted to make it record here. In February 20th, 2021, sir made the statement in the one conference. Again, evening, sir has tutored in his tutor, pandemic far from over. Please wear the mask, sanitation, social distancing, ventilation is must to avoid the pandemic. But we never listened. Nobody is listened what the India's most respected scientist is cried. We faced and we paid the price for that in April, May month. How many lives we lost? Sir, whatever it is, you are still continuing. And even recently we came to know recycling of PPE kit using the method of NCL is tried to use with the Reliance and so many other works done by the CSIR. So we are very happy and honored to privilege to present our founder director name of Dr. V. Subrahmanyan Endowment Lecture Award to you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Can I share my slides? Can I get a privilege to share my slides, please?
Just a minute. Sir, this is the endowment award, sir. So we virtually we request you to please accept it, sir. We will be sending it by post.
Thank you.
Yes. So we have a short video presentation about our distinguished speaker, Dr. Shekhar C. Mande.
Why was it?
Dr. Shekhar C. Mande, Secretary, DSIR and Director General, Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. He is a structural and computational biologist and one of India's leading experts in DNA fingerprinting and diagnostics. Dr. Mande pursued MSc in physics from University of Nagpur with specialization in X-rays and electronics in the year 1984. He holds a doctoral degree in molecular biophysics from the Indian Institute of Science, IISc, Bengaluru. He joined as postdoctoral fellow at Groningen in the Netherlands in 1991 and in 1992 joined as a senior fellow at the University of Washington, Seattle, USA. Dr. Shekhar Mande is one amongst the gems of CSIR who have greatly contributed towards scientific and technological growth of India. Dr. Mande has provided new insights into the understanding of fundamental biological processes and molecular mechanisms underlying a range of human diseases. On his return to India, Dr. Mande joined the CSIR Institute of Microbial Technology, Chandigarh, as a scientist, and in 2001 he was selected as a staff scientist at the Center for DNA Fingerprinting and Diagnostics, Hyderabad. In the year 2011, Dr. Mande was appointed as the Director of National Center for Cell Science, NCCS, Pune. Currently, he serves as the Director General of the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, cum Secretary, Department of Scientific and Industrial Research, DSIR, Government of India. He has been honored with several prestigious awards including the B.M. Birla Young Scientist Award in 1999 and Wellcome Trust International Senior Fellow 2003 to 2008. In 2005, he was awarded the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize for Science and Technology, the most prestigious science award in India, in the category of biological sciences. He has been elected as Fellow of all the three major science academies in the country: Indian National Science Academy, Delhi; National Academy of Sciences, Allahabad; Indian Academy of Sciences, Bangalore; and also as Fellow of Andhra Pradesh Academy of Sciences. In the year 2019, Dr. Mande has been awarded with Bharat Asmita Tantra Vigyan Puraskar. Dr. Shekhar Mande sir was bestowed with the H.K. Firodia Memorial Award for his contributions to science on 7th February 2020 during the 24th edition of the awards ceremony held in Pune.
I would just say that follow the pursuits that interest you the most. There are lots of questions about nature that are very exciting. We still don't understand the nature completely in its entirety, and I don't think we would ever in the next maybe a few hundred years. But the questions are so exciting that younger generation can actually start contributing to trying to understand some fascinating aspects of nature.
On the occasion of Dr. V. Subrahmanyan Memorial Day, we are very fortunate to have with us Dr. Shekhar Mande sir to enlighten us with his great thoughts and views.
With this introduction, On behalf of NIFTEM-Thanjavur family, I invite our chief guest, Dr. Shekhar C. Mande, to please deliver Dr. V. Subrahmanyan Endowment Lecture.
Thank you so much. I will share my slides first and then see whether the slides are visible to everyone.
Yes.
Then I will go ahead. I hope my slides are visible to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much. Before I begin, let me place on record what an honor it is to be able to deliver the Dr. V. Subrahmanyan Endowment Lecture today at NIFTEM. Of course, all of us have known and read about Dr. Subrahmanyan's contribution to India. CSIR is particularly privileged that he thought of CFTRI and began the great institution of CFTRI in Mysore in the late 1940s. I'm also greatly honored that so many dignitaries I see here on the screen who are present for the lecture, and I feel a bit humbled that people like Dr. V. Prakash and all are actually present in my lecture. So thank you all so very much for giving me this honor of delivering the V. Subrahmanyan Endowment Lecture. I hope I'll be able to do justice to this honor that you have given to me. I intend to speak on food, nutrition, and agricultural challenges in the coming times. And what my emphasis would be essentially beyond how technology has always helped us in ensuring our food, nutrition, and agricultural challenges for time immemorial. In fact, it's not very surprising because the very aspect of life to survive on its own, whether it be bacteria, plants, animals, or even humans, is the ability to derive food from the surroundings and then grow, reproduce, and eventually pass on our genes to the next progenies. And that humans have done extraordinarily well in evolution is I don't have to emphasize that particular fact. But we look back upon the prehistoric times when we had yet not started forming colonies and other things. What we realize is that technology has always played a very major role in our ability to gather food and our ability to survive. And what I show you here is a tool that I accidentally stumbled upon during a trek in mid-December, in the Aravallis, very close to Delhi. What you see here is a classical Stone Age tool, possibly dated anywhere between 100,000 to 300,000 years old. So this is much before we started forming colonies. This is much before we had started domesticating cattle, and this much before agriculture came into being. We are essentially the population which are hunter-gatherers, but the principal aspect, of course, was to go and get food from somewhere. And tools like this were made by humans, or as I said, time immemorial. And that's what the technology actually plays a role in trying to adapt ourselves to the surroundings. We also use our surroundings to our use and our benefit. And that's a hallmark of our race, the human race, for this. But as we go further, about 10 to 15,000 years ago, about 15,000 years ago roughly, is when we started forming colonies of human beings, more than about 200 to 400 people together, living together as a community. And that's also the time we started domesticating cattle, we started agricultural practices, and we actually began as an exercise making our own food so that we don't have to go and hunt and gather food from whatever available resources we are far and off. That also led to a proper social structure, the evolution of proper social structure into human beings. And as I said, the first driving point of that social structure was agriculture. But as we started making colonies bigger and bigger, of course, administrating the colony and distribution of work to different groups of people for different things also became an issue. And the colonies started being administered either by a single individual, either a king or an emperor or something, or a group of people who would take decisions and then decide which kind of people would follow what kind of profession and so on and so forth. In the process also would attempt to protect interests of all the people in that society. And we once again see impressions of that in our modern agricultural practices. And that's how we actually evolved as a great race, which is very, very social race, but also we work with the nature and we have tried to use nature for our own benefit. As I said, agriculture being one of the central points in our evolution, it was but a necessity that we start using proper agricultural practices and make use of our resources for better production of agricultural products. And irrigation formed a very critical central aspect in this particular thing what I am talking about. In fact, there are records from Indian subcontinent that our ancestors in our subcontinent were routinely growing wheat, barley and jujube, which appear to have been domesticated about 9000 BC. We have very old records showing that we had begun domestication of sheep, goat and other cattle in the pre-Indus Valley civilization. In fact, the agricultural records from the historic evidences what we have, archaeological evidences what we have, is also that there were 2 harvests a year, a proper fallowing of land and irrigation system and so on and so forth. In fact, the example that I want to show you here is a dam which is one of the oldest dams still in use anywhere around the world, constructed on the Kaveri River near Trichy, and is a Kalanai dam. And this actually shows the role of administration in promoting our food, nutrition and agricultural security for our race. And in fact, the state supported infrastructure has always played a major role in the evolution of the human race. And a few examples of this I will also show you a little later. This is a very beautiful monogram on 18th century science and technology in India, written by Dharampal. And Dharampal actually records some of the historical evidences of how agricultural practices existed in India. And what he records is that the paddy production in a region where you are very close in Tamil Nadu at that particular point of time amounted to roughly about 5 to 6 tons per hectare then in the 18th century, which equals the production of paddy per hectare even today in the present day Japan, the current world high. And it shows in our subcontinent, from the Stone Age tools to the paddy production in 18th century, there has been a continuous unbroken tradition of many people coming together and working for the benefit and sustenance of humanity. Even today, we continue to produce large amount of food products for the world. There was of course a period of about 150 to 200 years in between in which we were deprived of our own resources. But in the last 75 years, we have ensured that we have demonstrated literally the resilience of our people in coming back to the same old golden era of what we had seen till the 17th and the 18th century. Now these practices have continued, agricultural practices, and we should see the evolution of these practices in the modern era in India. And as I said, the dark ages of about 150 to 200 years in between made sure that we were deprived of all our resources, so much so that we even were not able to produce, when we became independent, our own food. We had started importing food from overseas. There's a classical example of a drought that is very often quoted, is the famine of 1943. The famine of 1943 was not essentially only because of the shortage of food, but a shortage of food arose because of also lack of transport from the food where it was available and it was not there. And a large number of people, hundreds of thousands of people, or rather a million people, succumbed to this famine. That only shows that at the time of independence, we did not have proper agricultural practices in place. We did not have self-sufficiency in food production. And in fact, a similar crisis when it loomed large in the 1960s, and we made requests to the United States that we would like to have import some wheat, and that's the genesis of what is now called as the PL480 project, in which United States provided large number of wheat to us. But that was also the time that we became aware that we have to become self-sufficient in our own food requirements. Norman Borlaug had already germinated the seeds of green revolution elsewhere, and his work across the world was already making waves with the dwarf wheat variety that he had developed and implementation of proper agricultural practices, how they could be useful for adaptation across the world. And Indian Agricultural Research Institute in Delhi and Professor M.S. Swaminathan, with very solid support from people like Dr. Subrahmanyan, and others, ensured that we also stepped into the era of food sufficiency. And ever since we started this, India has not only become self-sufficient, but rather we are one of the major producers of all kinds of food in the country. In fact, the bar that you see here is we are among the highest rice producing countries in the world. So in a sense, the dream of our people that we should become self-sufficient again in almost everything has started becoming realized through these kind of revolutions that what we have. And of course, the Amul has been mentioned here, and CFTRI Mysore has played a very critical role in the revolution in the milk in the late 1970s and early 80s. And we are very proud that the role that CSIR has played in many of these revolutions. A much less appreciated fact about the Green Revolution is that even CSIR played a very major role in providing technologies during the Green Revolution. And as I said in my beginning comment, that technology has always played a very critical role in the growth of human societies around the world. And during the Green Revolution, as the Green Revolution was unfolding in India, CSIR also played a critical role in the mechanization of agriculture and in providing agri-pesticides to the country. And there what we see here, the first of the tractors that rolled out of CSIR's Central Mechanical Engineering Research Institute and eventually spun off as a company called Punjab Tractors Limited. And this played a major role once again in the implementation of Green Revolution across the country. The Swaraj tractor that was made in CSIR and eventually spun off as a company, and many of us read in the newspapers recently that this has now merged or rather has been taken over by the Mahindra Group. In the same manner, many agri-pesticides were made in CSIR labs, and CSIR has assumed a role of a leader in the chemical sector ever since. What I would like to present to you, and most of you would be aware of the thing that I am going to talk about, but nonetheless, in an endowment lecture such as this, it is important that we sit back and reflect that what challenges are ahead of us and how do we address those challenges collectively. It is imperative, as what Anand Ramakrishna mentioned, that during COVID period, the entire country worked together to address those challenges of COVID. And I should like to place on record that all the people of India, the scientists and technologists, the industries, the small and medium industries, the policy makers, everyone worked together to make sure, including our administrative machineries, to make sure that the impact of COVID was reduced on our population. And these 2 years have been really awakening years for the entire population of India, that what kind of miracles can be achieved when we work together. And similar challenges which lie ahead of us, once again demand that all of us work together in addressing the challenges. So let me take a few moments to list out some of the challenges which all of you are aware of, but nonetheless, if we introspect upon this, we can even do equal kind of miracles or equally good work as what we did in COVID times to address all these challenges effectively and make our country truly Atmanirbhar and 2047, as our founders of our nation had imagined our country to have its true position in the global order, we will be able to realize the ambitions and the dreams of our forefathers. So let me now actually go over to some of the challenges that what we face. One challenge that we face is meeting nutritional requirements of all. And when I say this, what I mean is that not only nutritional requirements of a special economic group, not only nutritional requirements in different geographic groups in India, not only nutritional requirements of different age groups, not only nutritional requirements of different gender, but as a whole, in a holistic manner, we must address nutrition requirements of everyone. The nutrition requirements would not only go in ensuring a healthy quality of life, but also it would actually improve the life of those who have disabilities in their unfortunate disabilities and many other aspects. And to do that, we must actually also ensure that wherever micronutrient deficiencies exist, like iron, vitamin A, iodine, or something, which are abundant in the country, we can start addressing them. They also address the nutrition requirements of those children who don't have enough food to eat, or those who are overeating and are obese or overweight. So all of this actually is one of our first challenges that what we must actually meet. Now we have about 1.4 billion population. The average life expectancy has improved dramatically post-independent, and today it is at roughly 70 years of life expectancy in the country. And we have a very interesting demography. About 25% of our population is less than 15 years of age. About 68% of our population is between 15 and 65, and about 7% population is over 65 years of age. We are also among the top food producers in the world. Now the demography is such that over a period of time, the balance is shifting towards older people. 30 years ago, it was not like this. And therefore, the nutritional requirements of different age groups must be thought of in the correct perspective, and we must make sure that as much emphasis is put on giving our children nutritional food, as much emphasis has to be there also on geriatric food to make sure that even our old population lives healthy and peacefully. Also, as I said, there are two major problems that I have mentioned a couple of minutes ago. One, that of undernutrition, and other of overnutrition. Now, undernutrition actually forms one of the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, as was presented. And it says that we should be zero hunger by 2030. And this is actually one of the major challenges for India. We have a large population which is malnourished, and we have a large population to which we must reach out to make sure that the future generation of India, which is properly nourished and grow healthily. In fact, it's embarrassing for a country which aspires to be for its global order, its rightful place in the global order, that we still have a large number of undernourished children in the country. Intriguingly, at the same time, we also have people which are obese and which are overweight. And that is leading to another kind of a problem in the country, and that related to diseases such as diabetes and other lifestyle disorders. And all of this combined together leads to productivity losses about more than 10% in India. And therefore, the challenge one is to meet nutritional requirements for all populations, as what I've highlighted till now. Challenge two is what we would actually like to, can I have the next slide, please? I think this got stuck, yeah. So, as I said, undernutrition and overnutrition are both our problems. And we'll go to the challenge 2 now. And the challenge 2 would be to ensure sustainable food production and consumption. Now, how do we actually in our agricultural practices make sure that our practices are sustainable for food production and consumption? As I said, historically, there are many grains that have been grown here, especially in millets, and a food which had high fiber content, fruits such as jujube. But over a period of time, we have moved ourselves from those into other kinds of food in recent times. The sustainable food practices or the food production also takes care of the carbon footprint of what kind of food can be actually met. And given the tropical weather conditions that like what we have, we must have crops which are weather resilient. And what fits in the bill very well in all of this are of course things like millets. As we know, millets have higher methionine and cysteine contents. They also have higher iron, zinc and calcium contents. And they are last standing crops, are believed to be last standing crops during drought conditions. And considering all of this, India impressed upon United Nations to declare 2023, that's the next year, as the International Year of Millets. And many agencies together, whether it's Ministry of Agriculture, ICAR and CSIR, also our institutes and all are working together of making the Year of Millet successful. One of the challenges in the food consumption and production is the supply chain management losses. Supply chain management losses are huge across the country and in fact across the globe. The supply chain which typically begins at the farmer's farm and then find its way through a complicated machinery either where the food grains are stored or through mandis and eventually at the end user's place is a fairly complex practice. And if you are not ready for the entire supply chain management of how to store food in proper places so that it doesn't go waste, how efficiently we bring it to the end user from the production side, we will not be able to solve the problem of sustainable food production for the future. And when we talk of supply chain, we also talk of a concept called a food mile, and I will come to that concept a little later. This also makes sure that the correct kind of food that we eat is also given to the end user or the person who consumes the food. And when we talk of correct food, the sustainable food production must ensure that the carbon footprint of what we consume must be as less as possible. And what I've shown you here in that bar graph is a carbon footprint of some of the produce which is very high. And are we ready to change our food habits to the food which has low carbon footprint and at the same time ensures the proper nutritional qualities of the food? And that's a question that we must ask ourselves if we were to ensure a sustainable food production for the coming time. A food mile, as I said, is a concept that is a very interesting concept that has been proposed. And it is the concept that defines the distance food is transported from the time of its making until it reaches the consumer. And as you can see in the graph at the right bottom corner, India's food mile is roughly of the order of about 250-300 kilometers. But in most other countries, it's much higher, which means we are putting pressure on all our logistic supply chain management issues, including transport and other things, so that the food where it is produced has to travel long distances to people so before it is being consumed. Now this exactly is an antithesis or exactly opposite to the kind of concepts that even Mahatma Gandhi had proposed. Mahatma Gandhi's Swadeshi concept arises from the fact that whatever is produced locally ought to be consumed locally. So what we consume today, if it is produced in a nearby location, that allows the local economies to prosper and also allows the local people to get better yields for their produce. It also ensures peace and harmony in the society. And that's the base of Swadeshi. That also is the base of what today we call as Atmanirbharta. And therefore, we will have to ensure that we actually have as less food mile as possible also in the coming times. So agriculture produced locally ought to be consumed locally and not to be transported to very far off distances is one of the challenges that we will have in the coming time. The third challenge is the wastage of food that we see across the country. And in fact, I had a very pleasant surprise when I went to some of the offices across the country. As an example, when I went to Tata Consultancy Services, in their canteen, I saw there was a big basket which was kept and it was accumulating the food that was wasted on that particular day by the employees of Tata Consultancy Services in their canteen. And it's just one way of making everyone aware that wasting of food is not a very healthy thing to do. The wasting of food alone is estimated to be equivalent to about 3.3 gigatons of greenhouse gas emissions in the country. It also leads to surface and groundwater resources, depletion of them in the time. And it actually tells us that our biodiversity and expansion also is compromised because of the wastage of food. So all of it actually is a problem for the food losses, and it's one of our challenges for the future, that how do we minimize the food losses and ensure adequate food supply despite all of this. Next slide, please. In order to actually minimize waste food product, once again, the spirit that we had demonstrated during the COVID period, that the government, academia, civil society, private sector, we all need to work together and we all need to act with nature in this particular process. This will also ensure that we are using our natural resources optimally for everything. As I said, that greenhouse gas emission and use of water is one of the major challenges for the future. And I'm going to come to that a little later. But nonetheless, the minimum wasting of food would ensure that we use all our resources optimally for future. And that brings me to the point of water. And that is our challenge number 4, that how do we get ready for the future? And just to give you a glimpse of an article that has appeared in Nature this week. So those of you who saw Nature on 27 January would have stumbled upon this particular article. And it talks about a mega drought that saw wiping out of many civilizations across the world. From Mesopotamia to Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, we actually see that many civilizations were wiped out during this particular period because of a mega drought that swept across the world. Now that brings the criticality of water in our resource management for future. The drought is estimated to have hit roughly about 2200 BC and has wiped out many empires, as I said, from Mesopotamia, Syria, Iraq, and Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. And this kind of droughts are a reality for even today. This is not a fiction. They can come any point of time and in the most unpredictable manner. And we have to be ready for drought resilient cropping as what we can do. Over the last few years, over the last few decades, we have learned to use groundwater for our agricultural practices. But when we use groundwater, we have to remember that our water availability in our country has been depleting very rapidly. In fact, Indian National Science Academy had organized a groundwater resource workshop a few years ago, and it was so dramatic. It showed that in the year 1950, we were comfortably surplus in groundwater resources. By 1980, we had actually started becoming water short country, and it is estimated that by the year 2050, we are going to be a greatly water deficient country. And water deficiency is a reality that we are looking at. And to address the problem of water deficiency, we must ensure not only water is used very judiciously, but we also must ensure that we replenish the groundwater resources. It is estimated that about 6% of the GDP will be lost by the year 2050 due to water crisis. And about 40% population is at risk of having no risk to drinking water by 2030. So as I said, two important aspects of this: judicial use of water and appropriate replenishment of groundwater are both the things that we can do, and we can make use of technology once again for this particular purpose. And I would like to share with you a very proud example of CSIR technology. Now, this one is from the National Geophysical Research Institute in Hyderabad. When they mapped all the groundwater resources near Hyderabad, and the pictures that I show you are from a village called Chotuppal. When they did that, they realized that groundwater had practically been depleted in many areas around the village. But yet, there were aquifers that existed below the surface. And if these aquifers were appropriately recharged, that water would become available to the people again. And in April 2015, what had almost started becoming a semi-arid land, the NGRI people, having mapped the locations of aquifers below the surface, started appropriately generating groundwater recharging lakes or water bodies that would eventually replenish the groundwater aquifers. And today, when I went there about a few months ago, I see that people have started even growing paddy in the same land. Now, look at the extreme left. In 2015, just about 7 years ago, the land had started becoming semi-arid. There was no water, and many people from the villages had started migrating to the nearby cities, whether it be Vijayawada or Hyderabad. But today, what we see on ground, a few months ago when I went there, and I met all the village sarpanches and other people, we realized that people had started migrating back to the village, and not only that, they had started growing paddy, one of the most water intensive crops. And that has been possible because we have been able to replenish in an appropriate manner the groundwater resources. So if we address both the problems, the use of water and its conservation, this kind of challenges will be able to overcome in the coming years. And based on the success that what we have had in Hyderabad and in Telangana, we then propose to Ministry of Jal Shakti that we would like to do the same exercise across Rajasthan, in Gujarat and in Haryana, the regions essentially what we characterize as the desert, the great desert of India. And by doing so, if we are able to recharge the groundwater in these areas, I think we will witness a history in the making in the coming time. And the project has already begun. CSIR NGRI has deployed helicopter-borne survey of groundwater, or rather aquifer mapping in these areas. And if we are able to map the aquifers correctly, and if we are able to recharge them using rainwater harvesting or other means, I am very sure what we will have is a fairly historical matter, that this desert will come back to life and will come back to the same stage what it was centuries ago. The challenge number 5 and the last of the challenges that I would like to present to you is that of personalized nutrition. Now this is very, very futuristic. When we look into the future, our future has to ensure sustainable living. Our future has to ensure that our impact on environment has to be absolutely minimal, but our future also has to ensure that an access for every person living to all the resources is equitable. And in that sense, if you look at nutrition, also is a very, very personalized matter. That we can actually personalize nutrition for every person depending on the person's ability. So what you see here in tier 1 is the daily intake of food for the person, but that can also be correlated to the phenotype of a person. If the person is fat, for example, then we need to give low fat food to the person, and if the person is malnourished, we must ensure appropriate nutrition. But the phenotype is also related to the genotype. So if we are able to integrate the daily intake of a food for every person, depending on the person's phenotype and the genotype, what we would have achieved is a personalized nutrition for the person. And I don't think that day is very far. Our understanding of the host immune system or the person's immune system, our understanding of host metabolism or human metabolism, and our understanding of the microbiome, a large population of bacteria that live in our guts, in our oral cavity, on our skin, has improved dramatically in the last 25 years. And with the knowledge of the human system, the metabolism and microbiome, I am very sure that the days of personalized nutrition are not very far away. And we, the science and technology community in India, and CSR in particular, must move rapidly toward that era in which we can actually start prescribing personalized nutrition to every person in our society. And I feel there are very exciting times ahead for people or the scientists in CSR for this particular purpose. May I have the next slide, please? So having posed the 5 challenges, I would just very quickly like to highlight that what kind of science and technology interventions that we have done in recent times, and how does that actually help the people, or rather our stakeholders, the common people. And just to give you 2 different examples, this example I have picked up from Navarangpura district of Odisha. As all of us are aware that the government some years ago declared a list of what are called as aspirational districts. And among all the aspirational districts in the country, those which had the lowest rank in Human Development Index was Navarangpur in Odisha. It is at that time CSIR as a body decided that it can bring benefit to the people of Odisha or Navarangpur district of Odisha through our S&T interventions. What you see on the right middle panel as the water purification system that have been developed in IMMT Bhubaneswar. We distributed them at a very large number to the people there. What you see at the bottom are the healthy foods that were actually distributed to the people there, and the CFTRI scientists spent considerable amount of time in going and teaching people there to prepare healthy food products, whatever was available locally, and also made interventions in the midday meal schemes using ragi laddus and so on and so forth. And that dramatically improved the nutritional status of the people in Nabarangpur. The CSI's Aroma Mission also went there and taught people how we can make certain aromatic products from waste flowers or other aspects there. So all together, a very holistic science and technology solution was presented to district Nabarangpur. And since then, since the work began a few years ago, Nabarangpur has climbed up the HDI index very rapidly, and today it is no more a district which ranks among the lowest in the country as an aspirational district. And CSIR is extraordinarily proud that our scientists have been able to intervene and bring S&T interventions for the benefit of people in the Nabarangpur district in Odisha. Next slide, please. Yeah. previous ones. Similarly, the second example that I actually wanted to give about S&T interventions, and as I said, that 2023, we are going to witness this as the year of millets. And this example I have taken from the CFTRI Mysore, and CFTRI is leading in the celebrations of the year of millets from the CSR perspective. So CFTRI has developed large number of different machineries for processing and making value-added products from millets. Some of the products are also bakery products, traditional products, convenience products, beverages, and so on and so forth. And in fact, they are not only making these products, but they are also preparing the next generation through entrepreneurship so that millets can be popularized across the country. In the beginning of my talk, I had talked about the produce that we make locally, that can be consumed locally, and millets actually qualify that particular definition perfectly. And we hope that through the interventions that CFTRI is planning in the coming time, we will be able to not only celebrate the year of millets successfully, we'll also be able to propagate the knowledge about millets across India so that people can start producing this kind of millet-derived products in the coming time. And for this, once again, I come back to the lesson that we had learned from COVID period, that if we were to able to successful in this endeavor, we must make sure that we connect with all the stakeholders appropriately, whether it be it NGOs, whether it be it the small industries, whether it be it large industries, whether it be it policymakers, whether it be it state administration, our sister departments, Ministry of Food Processing or ICAR or FSSAI, state governments and everyone, if we are able to connect together with all of them, I'm sure together we can make a huge difference or for our people in the coming times. Next 25 years, we must endeavor to do this so that by the time we celebrate 100 years of our country, we must make it ourselves very proud that science and technology has brought so much benefit for the growth of our society. So to summarize, what actually I have presented in my own opinion, 5 major challenges for us for the coming time. What I have been able to tell you is that the sustainable food production and a quality diet can ensure our nutritional security for future. If combined with proper agricultural practices, we will have quality nutrition and appropriate agriculture that will ensure our sustainable future. And if we combine with health, the triangle of nutrition, health and agriculture together can really make sure that India would achieve its proper place in the global order. All of it also would be cost effective. I have no doubt about this. But all of this also would be resilient to climate change and would be minimal on the environmental damage or destruction. Water, I have already spent considerable amount of time. I would just like to quote from Mahatma Gandhi once again. There are people in the world so hungry that God cannot appear to them except in the form of bread, unquote. And with this, our mission would be that no human should go hungry or malnourished. We should ensure food and nutrition security, at the same time ensuring environmental protection for future generations without any compromise on social, environmental or economic basis. So better production, better nutrition, better environment and better health and better life would ensure our appropriate place in the global order, and that not only India's place, but will bring a lot of benefit to humanity in general. I would like to thank all of you once again for giving me this particular chance and a privilege to talk about during the Dr. V. Subrahmanyan Mauritian lecture. Thank you all so very much. I feel extraordinarily privileged with this particular aspect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Your message was inspiring and has kindled a new zeal to pursue our vision. We are extremely thankful to you for your presence, sir. Every year, in recognition of outstanding performers in the institution, NIFTEM-Thanjavur presents merit awards to faculty and staff. As I read out the names of the awardees, I invite you to come onto the stage, please. I request Director NIFTEM-Thanjavur to please give the awards in the august presence of our respected Chief Guest, sir. Dr. V. Subrahmanyan, Best Scientist Award 2022. This award comes with a grant in aid of rupees 1 lakh. This year, the award is shared by two faculties. Dr. V. R. Sinija, Professor and Head, Food Processing Business Incubation Center, NIFTEM, Thanjavur. And Dr. S. Shanmugasundaram, Professor and Head, Planning and Monitoring Cell, NIFTEM, Thanjavur. Dr. V. Subrahmanyan, Best Technical Staff Award 2022. This comes with a grant in aid of rupees 50,000. This year, the award goes to Srimati S. Yogeshwari, Senior Technician, Computer Center, NIFTEM, Thanjavur. Dr. V. Subrahmanyan, Best Support Staff Award 2022. This award comes with a grant in aid of rupees 50,000. This year, the award goes to Shri P. Vinod Kumar, Junior Secretariat Assistant, Department of Food Engineering, NIFTEM, Thanjavur. Congratulations to the awardees. To honor our chief guest, we would like to present a memento as a token of our gratitude. I request our director, sir, to present the memento. Sir, this is the Thanjavur painting recognized as a national geographical indication by the Government of India. Thanjavur paintings are characterized by rich and vivid colors, simple iconic composition, and gesture work. To conclude, I invite Dr. R. Jaganmohan, Professor and Head, Department of Food Product Development, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good morning, one and all. And I'm very privileged to thank the dignitaries, our DG CSIR, and for accepting his our invitation and giving a wonderful lecture on sustainability of different areas of agriculture to water management and other things. And I also thank the CSIR directors, CFTRI director, and former director Dr. V. Prakash, and our former director Dr. Singarudiyal, and our own director, who has been energetic and giving all the support for getting this function very successful. And I also thank all our staff and students and all the directors and ICR directors, ICR Institute faculties, scientists who have been in online. And I thank one and all for their wonderful support. And we pray and we pledge be the best in our performance for the futures, and we will be working together to hunger-free world. Thank you one and all, and I also thank all the people, all the supporting staffs, those who made this video conferencing a wonderful one and without any flaw. And I also thank all the backstage staffs and those who have given in and out. Almost 2 days they were working all together. Thank you, and thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Please stand up for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
We have come to the end of this event. NIFTEM-Thanjavur sincerely thanks our Chief Guest, sir, for his gracious presence. Thank you everyone for your participation. Thank you.